Hello, here I am with a cup of cacao drinking stuff, which I made. And on my YouTube channel, there is a video. I worked out how to splice it together, and it's working through the whole process with a bit of music. And it's really easy. It's like making roux, like white sauce. So you just melt the cacao, which acts like butter in a roux situation, and then add in the spoonful of flour, and then a cup of milk. So I used buckwheat flour and oat milk. I also chucked in some and some spiked by the film chocolate, some cayenne pepper. So nice and that's also a good way to have a bit of coffee. It's got less caffeine in it, a bit like having yerba mate. It's got mate, not caffeine. So anyway, just notice there's the other way, a seahorse. Oh, how do I do that? There. Anyway, um, right. So I'm going to talk about how I realised to leave all that baggage behind that might have packed up with your trunk and taken off to boarding school. So if you've been to boarding school, a few things I've kind of noticed. One of them is happy childhood memories, especially with siblings, because some of those might be quite young. And when you look back, and you then know from your older point what really, because our memories are coloured by our current experience. Our current experience is sadness from being locked away at school and seeing our parents, especially our mothers, suffering, isolated at home, miles away from anyone else, then it will make things look bleaker. So anyway, there are lots of things that help us remember, and a lot of them might be creativity and also dreams as well. So it's looking at what happens in a recurrent dream, like trying to tell somebody someone's being unfair and finding that no volume comes out. It's like having no voice and other people being entitled, like having no voice and other people being entitled to say and do whatever they want without any repercussions. That kind of thing. Anyway, so one really good thing to do is to reconnect with your parents. So I didn't have much time to reconnect with my mum after school. She died when I was 21. And a lot of, suffering and illness and stress can be prevented by the amount of attention that we give our parents, because they are just like us. When you're 50, realize actually you outgrown or outlived the last two generations of women in my family. And they were also people who went to school maybe as young as 6, went off to boarding school. And of course, that had an effect. So things we pick up are passed down generation after generation. And so finding out what our parents did before we were born is a really good way to get our parents to open up and talk to us like human beings. And that really, those conversations can really heal a lot of the hurt and the pain of them going and dropping you off at school. Everyone's torturing themselves, and I remember lots of tears, and basically, yeah, I just remember a lot of that. I remember being taken out on a Sunday and the dread of going back. And in fact, I still have a dread of going back on a Sunday, even though I live somewhere where I'm still going to be on the Monday, where I don't have to drive back from. Anyway, so another thing, right? So looking at what your parents did, so I found out that my parents went to Cornwall. They took me and my brother to Cornwall, and I always had a bit of a feeling about that. So do trust your instincts. If you go somewhere and think that you might have been there before, it's really good to know. And to go and revisit it as an adult, because you might still pick up those vibes. And also, my parents have been going to Spain and to Ibiza. I had no idea my dad went there as a child or as a teenager in the 50s. So that's quite interesting. And places I like going. So that's a way to connect with them. And also things like the arts. So like theatre, comedy, enjoying those together. And I was very lucky my parents took me to loads and loads of theatre productions and plays. So that's really good. And yeah, finding common ground. And then obviously when you then start to try to go into your career, it's quite different for women than for men. Like women were pretty much told in the 80s that the only job would be a secretary or a PA or someone's assistant or a secretary or a PA. And there were very sexist words in the adverts in the newspapers, like tight and polished and all that kind of thing. And it's very good fodder for comedy. So I would actually use that for that, to actually laugh at it and laugh at ourselves, that kind of thing. And asking our parents about how they got on, because in my parents' generation, who are now in their 80s, they wouldn't have needed to know how they got through school. Like what we don't realise about boys' schools is that all boys go in and they're all creative and imaginative and have vivid dreams and all of that. And the school is very experienced over a long period of time, 150 years, of turning those boys into rote, memorizing, academic, intellectual. It's not about knowledge, it's about so Richard Beard's book shows how it really is just about thinking you know best and being right, and that confidence and entitlement that that puts people into the top jobs. Well, it's quite different for women because all we were really doing was aping the guys. So when I was at school, I was in the sports team, so I did enjoy playing rounders and tennis and lacrosse. We didn't play hockey. And yeah, so I enjoyed all that and swimming, and looked forward to outdoor activity because being outdoors was great, especially when it was sunny. And it's got selenium, copper, potassium, magnesium, manganese, zinc. Anyway, so connecting with parents about what they did before you were born. If you're lucky enough to students alive when you're in your 40s or 50s, get to it quickly, and you never know what you might find out. And the last thing, 40s or 50s, get to it quickly, and you never know what you might find out. And the last thing, I'll get to it quickly, and you never know what you might find out. And the last thing I'm going to say about is writing, if you have lost your parents, writing a posthumous letter. And that could start out being how you feel, like, because it could really be mirrored in current relationships, distrust and trauma and just shutting everybody out, all that kind of thing could be in the current, in your current life. And it's really what's happening in our current life that really matters. And getting rid of baggage, even nice matching leather accoutrements and fittings, it doesn't matter. Had a weird dream about all that the other night. And anyway, so writing letter, and what you find is as you write, you begin to see it more and more from your parents' point of view. That's a wonderful thing about writing. So journaling, just writing each day how you feel, what your current state is, state of mind, your motivation, interactions with other people, all that kind of thing. But also, I think I was a bit numb 10 years after my mum died, because I kind of think I hadn't had a lot of time with her. So I'd just been all the way through school. So anyway, so I didn't really have that chance. So I wrote a letter and read it out to my godmother and my mum's friend and my dad's friend and my brother and all of that. I realised that she was whizzing around finding acne doctors and taking to all these different facial places and trying everything in homeopathy. And my grandfather was a doctor, and so doctors who qualified in 1931 were totally holistic and into preventative medicine, not just now, like just something to try to stop things, which actually just stops the immune system from fighting them itself, in my view. So writing a letter to this parent is a really good thing to do, and then reading it to someone else who remembered them and know them, and it can also open up lots of stuff for them. So as well as the acne doctors, my mum was racing around finding, throat people, because I had hearing loss. Anyway, I've got to now. I wouldn't look back, and I would not regret anything, because life is a journey, and it has so many opportunities to discover and to connect and to have conversations and create and cooperate and all these things, and then work out what it is you really want to do, what your purpose is, and definitely find that you can come away from a boarding school thing with a purpose of like healing and people accurate, and it wasn't personal and it wasn't about them, and that is something in Englishness we've passed down generation after generation. No wonder Surrey is a hotbed of dysfunctionality and everything like that, because a lot of people in the home counties of generation after generation of going to these schools, and society's changed, a bit like to the Manor Born, where these new people had come in, and instead of letting everyone use their field for the gymkhana, they basically just put up walls and hide behind lawyers and basically keep everybody out, and that changed the village atmosphere quite a lot. So I'm just going to leave it here. I'm just going to finish my cacao. And I recommend having some of this, and I'll come back on tomorrow for a much shorter bit of more tips on political survival and living your best life. And so, Jim, a bit later, show what ordinary body-sized people do in the gym rather than just gym bodies. So I'll see you then.